by Mr. Zimmer. And that's why we have a cable committee.
I don't think the cable committee should resolve it. I think they should resolve it among themselves. And from what I see, it's really simple. He doesn't want her on cable, and it's simple as that. That's the impression I get, that you don't want her on cable. Even though it's a public access cable, you do not want her on cable. So therefore, you can create all the atmosphere you want.
No, she was on tonight. She's been on it for years.
That's my opinion.
There's never been a problem with that one show.
But I think there is a problem. Here is CBSI cable casting my show every week and not contributing anything to the production of that show. That is wrong. And if you go to page 45, you will see how I go over the contract with the town of the cable company and the town. And I tell you how my rights as a resident of Harrison are being denied. So that's very carefully written out. It starts on page 44. Cable television franchise agreement, and goes to page 45, it continues, and it ends on page 46. So I'd like to let you know that.
Mr. Zimmer, the complaints are that when she goes there, she's kept waiting, and that there's apparently rudeness involved, and that the equipment you use is not ready or not working. Is this all true?
I can't. I think nerves are frayed on both sides after a long period. So, is there some animosity there? I'd be foolish to think that there's not animosity on both sides, but I'm not there to see it. As to the equipment being ready, again, it has to be modified in order to be set up for the use that Glendora wants to make.
That's a 3-minute job.
Yeah, but if you know she's coming in at a certain hour, can't you modify your equipment so that you can help her?
We've done that, but from my point of view,
Seems like you guys are being uncooperative.
no, we've been very cooperative.
I don't
We've
think
been
so.
cooperative for years. The problem is if it's not there, if they're busy and they don't have it ready when she arrives, then she becomes very angry. And instead of appreciating an accommodation that's being made for her equipment, then she becomes abusive. She gets very insulting to the employees.
Well, that's her
Frankly, no
nature.
one
So
wants to
Mr. Zimmer, in the spirit of cooperation, would you be agreeable? I don't know the legalities, but do we still have a cable committee? Tina?
Are you addressing that to me? I'm wondering the exact same question. If you recall, several months ago, Mr. Valencia, yes, I asked the town board to examine the makeup of that committee and to reappoint it. And you all nodded and said that was a neat idea, and that was at least 4 months ago. You know, there's a committee.
Let me
We don't
ask
have
a
a
question,
chairman.
Mr. Zimmer. If we have a committee and we reappoint it, would you be agreeable and agree this evening that this kind of issue, or this particular issue, and also you, Glendora, would you agree that we could bring this issue to the committee and let them research the facts and resolve it? Would you be agreeable to the decision of the committee? Because I don't think we're going to resolve it, nor should we.
I don't think that's the solution.
Okay, I'm trying to find a way out of this.
Let me say, this is not the only time we've received
I want to pass
complaints.
the buck.
Yeah, we see complaints about, Adams Russell and cable division. We would like to see you people be more cooperative in dealing with our people. I mean, this has been a problem that we have encountered continually. The rudeness, the abruptness, what have you.
See, I think we're different issue here. I think we're trying to resolve this particular issue.
I know, but it just goes towards how these people, cablers have been acting in town of Harrison, and maybe they should mend their ways a little bit. They should start with Glendora, I think. I mean, you've been very valuable service to the public. I think you should look at it as being that, and you should overcome your personal animosity you may have against her.
Can I interject something as an independent party?
Identify yourself. Would you identify yourself, please?
Yeah. My name is William Gillette. I'm a resident of Harrison. I live in New York City. I'm not familiar with Mr. Zimmer. This is completely independent from what I've seen from all this. I've been an intern, an unpaid member of the production department for 5 years. Throughout my high school career, I'm currently in college. I'm studying this right now. What I don't understand is, Glendora just stated that she's not able to produce her program in Harrison. longer showed air in Harrison, but she's not able to produce it. The reason she's not able to produce it, from what I understand here, is she has been banned or is not permitted to use the Harrison facilities because of this disruption. Now, this is the first time I've seen this paper here, and what I am not sure about is there are three production staff members who are covering the entire town of Portchester and Harrison. 6 public access shows at least, sports, all kinds of different programming, and plus 3 or 4 regular interns who come in from wherever, from their regular jobs to help with the production of this. And that makes for 3 very busy people. And
Well, maybe that they should increase their staff.
well, I'm not at issue to understand that. I'm just an intern. But what I'm saying is that I think Cablevision, I think especially the integrity of Mr. Waxman, Matt Waxman, is being really treated unfairly. I think whatever situation that had arisen before this, if they were busy, if there was a problem with the equipment, from my personal experiences with Anthony, Chuck, and Matt, and everyone in the production department, has been that they will do everything they can to help to, reschedule that time. Now, I cannot have, in 4 years of knowing Matt Waxman, and also as a personal friend, I have never heard him raise his voice to anyone, ever. And if he was upset over something, he was trying to fix it. And I've seen him deal with Glendora and her program, and on the 4 or 5 occasions that I've seen him do it, he has gone out of his way to help Glendora with the production of her program.
But you haven't seen him recently. You're referring to something last summer.
No, I see him every week. I saw him today. I worked with him on 3 productions.
I don't know where we're going with this.
I just have something to say to him. If they have 3 people on the staff, I am really happy because I don't require any of those people on the staff once I get there. I do my own editing. I'm a help to them. All they gotta do is have the equipment set up, 5 minutes.
Okay, then, Glendora, what you want to do is you want to get back to being able to use and facilitate. Mike, is there anything we can do to make that arrangement?
I welcome her back using the facility. The only thing I ask is that she follow the rules.
Are the rules any different now than they were when she was there before?
Is that she follow the rules.
Are the rules any different now than they were when she was there before? You have a problem with that?
I have no problem with that, and I don't see any room to be followed. I think, I would like to see them follow the rules, keep their appointments, have the equipment available, have the equipment operable, and,
Well, I thought we covered all of that.
I thought we did too, but you didn't see Mr. Zimmer sign the letter and send it back to me.
Well, that
and resume on March the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. You didn't see that happen. I have been 2 months without any editing, and I've been producing my program somewhere else. Sometimes I have to pay for it to be produced and edited.
Is it continuing to be aired on?
Oh, yes, and it's always a brand new program. We never have a rerun, never. And it's a very important program, folks. It's a program to help children stay away from dope and suicide by seeing all these successful executives, how they started, and they started out at the same level the kids did. They started at the very same level and they made it. In fact, the second in command at Procter & Gamble said, and he's the vice chairman of Procter & Gamble, and he said, look, kids, he says, if I did it, anybody can do it. That's what the kids have to hear.
Glendora, alternate one, Mr. Zimmer, in the spirit of what Glendora just said, she serves a very vital public necessity. There's a little enough of this around, we should have more of it around, right? It's positive. You have no complaints about the show, I presume, right?
I've appeared on the show myself.
Great. In that spirit, alternate one, Glendora, you read alternate one on your page 50. Is it not acceptable? You seem like to be a person who lives by the rules. Mr. Zimmer's made you an offer, 3 alternates. Take alternate one and run.
Well, are these offers mutually exclusive?
No, they work on both sides. And good.
No, I mean, if I take one, I can't take 2 and 3?
Alternate one seems
To me, the letter was
accommodating.
ambiguous. I wasn't quite sure about that.
Alternate one says you'll be back just the way you were, working the way it was before the personal dispute.
So if I take 1, I can't have 3? Is that what it's saying?
Which says you may continue to request access time and supplies for the finished tape. You have a choice. I presume she can do that too if she wants.
Certainly.
Yes, you can take 1, 2, and 3 like a Chinese menu. Glendora, why don't we kiss and make up? Let's get this over with. Okay, Mr. Zimmer? We go back to work tomorrow? Okay?
Mike, don't leave.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay. Item number 19.
Nothing resolved, and therefore, felt there's nothing I can do to talk about this issue of the phone personally, and the appropriate forum is right here, so I asked that she come back to the town hall meeting and see if we can tonight resolve the issue, so it's fair and equitable to both parties. And that's why I put it on the agenda.
You're on.
Thank you. You know, tomorrow night, you're not meeting, so you can watch the chat with Glendora.
Well, we're gonna change the meeting night so we can watch it.
Channel 45, Wednesday night. She says, this is a boy. He says, that's okay, that was my second choice.
You proved it, yeah.
Newspaper? Newspaper? Anybody from
Yeah.
newspaper? Anybody else? Okay. To the board, to the town board from Glendora. I appeared before this board 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago. And all I ask is to be allowed to have the cooperation of our cable company the way it used to be. I would like to do my editing as I used to do it. And I would like to do my editing every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. commencing April the 21st, 1989, 4 to 6 p.m. this Friday. And for every Friday for a period of 1 year. And I ask the board to approve this.
Glendora, where would you do the editing?
At Purdy Street.
At Bracery Studio? Any banks request to cable?
No. In that sense, I haven't. No, in this sense, I haven't.
Did you give Mr. Zimmer a copy of this letter?
No.
We're just receiving it now, and he's unaware that this paragraph is available to him.
Well, I've been asking for this for a long time.
This is the same issue, right? This is the issue that we've been laboring over for a long time.
Has he contacted you this last week or 10 days?
He called me on Wednesday or Thursday, and he said we'll have to have a meeting. And and I said that we've had one meeting and nothing came from it, and we've had two meetings and nothing came from it, and the third meeting, nothing would come from it. That on the first
You
meeting,
made a presumption that nothing would come from the third meeting.
nothing came from the first meeting, nothing came from the second.
Glendora, by us adopting this statement,
Let me just get something, and Glendora, you know that this is factual. I'm not familiar with the contract itself, but there's a difference in the equipment that's used. Isn't there a problem with this editing, where they have a different size equipment of some kind?
No, there's no problem at all.
That is not a problem?
This is what an obstacle that they're trying to make you think is a problem. It is not a problem at all. What problem is there to set up a machine in 5 minutes?
Okay.
Equipment they
Wait a
already
minute, I
have.
was there at the meeting, so I know what we talked
Of
about.
equipment that they already have and that I do all my own editing anyhow. So what problem is that? This is just an obstacle they're trying to make you think it's a problem.
Glendora, what weight is this gonna carry?
Can we pass?
What's on the pass it, but I don't know.
No, but can this board go on in favor of?
I would be in favor, but
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
the
if we have the new laws with the cable company, I don't know what powers we have.
Martha,
Anyone with telephone.
Mr. Schreier, this issue may end up being legal. I was hoping it wouldn't, but, before we take any action, I know it's not fair to ask you this evening because you're not familiar with the franchise agreement, but do you think we as a board have the right to resolve that they immediately reinstate Glendora's use of the equipment as it were on the date stated? I mean, she wants to revert back to doing work the way she used to do before this personal dispute took place, and we don't even want to get into that this evening. That's really an issue we should put aside because, it's been beat to death. Can we just, by resolution,
I don't think you can unilaterally do it. I think what you can claim, if you wish, is that the cable company is in violation of the contract.
Well,
by
that's
not
where the
allowing
legal
her-
aspect is gonna come in on.
That by not allowing her to do that, but at this point, I don't think you can make that determination without hearing both sides.
Mr. Supervisor, you met with Ms. Zimmer, is it? Zimmer?
Right.
Are you convinced that this issue cannot be resolved amicably without us?
No, I'm not. As a matter of fact,
What does it take to resolve it with this gentleman?
I think it takes a little give on both sides.
I have a question for Glendora. What's
the way
the
we resolve
problem? Why are they opposing you so much? What is the reason?
Because they were wrong about what they did, and this is a cover-up.
So wouldn't it be better for them to say, well, okay, now, the board spoke last week, we're all behind you, we're all in your favor, we all want you to continue your program. We want the TV to operate with you. And have you spoken at all since the last meeting? Have you spoken to Mr. Zimmer since the last meeting?
The way it is Mr. Zimmer is to call me up and say, yes, you can go back to editing. That's the way it is.
Well, didn't he call you and say that there had to
He
be
called and no, he didn't.
excuse me, Glendora, didn't he say that there had to be an understanding?
No, he didn't. He didn't call me back and say we can go back to editing, and that's what he should have done. He called and stalled again, says we got to go to another meeting. And another meeting is just going to be like the first two meetings. I said I don't see the necessity for a third meeting.
Well, would you be willing to have a third meeting so we can resolve this?
No, what I want Mr. Zimmer to do
Glendora, wait a
is
minute.
to
Oh, time,
resume the
time,
editing.
I'm running the meeting, Glendora, you please.
Pat, I wasn't
I will
pleased
give-
with the way you ran the meeting the last
I
time.
know you weren't.
I didn't get my say.
And you didn't get your way,
I didn't get my
or
say.
your way. Now, look, let's hold on. Are you opposed to another meeting in my office?
Yes, I am. It got nowhere, and you saw what happened.
I tried, you feel
Pat, I
free to
told
go.
you to try it, and I thanked you.
Yeah, I
But where
know you
did it get? He gave his word that he would do it, and then he went back on his word. And I thought it was settled last town board meeting, and it wasn't. So what's the third meeting going to accomplish?
I don't know, but maybe something will come out of it. Why are you
I
opposed to a
don't
third
think
meeting?
a third meeting is necessary. I think what is necessary now is for Mr. Zimmer to face the wrong that they did and to resume the editing.
Mr. Supervisor, I'm not sure that we have that personal issue, because obviously it's deep, it's rooted, and it's long-lasting, and the longer they last, the worse they get. So that's why I would like to know if we can just... Glendora's a public service. She provides a service on cable. We want to encourage public use of cable. There's a problem. Glendora is not allowed to use the facilities the way she used to. She comes before us and asks our hope in getting her to use the facilities. Can we, I mean, when we went into this cable franchise, obviously the public use of facilities was a very important element of it. We discussed it at length. She's been prohibited from using the facilities at 4 to 6 p.m. on Fridays the way she did for a long, long time, for years. We don't know who said what to whom, and it can't be resolved amicably, evidently. Can we not tell the manager that we expect this citizen of our community to use the facilities?
Hi folks, welcome to Glendora, a cheerful look at life. And this is Carmino Cat. Folks, Bob was out driving and it was a very, very foggy night and he didn't know the road and he was scared to death that he was going to go into the ditch. And a car came in up ahead and Bob says, good, he says, I'll follow those bright red tail lights. And he says, he probably knows the road and he'll keep me from going into the ditch. So he followed him for a long time. This went on for a long time and the car up front suddenly stopped and Bob hit him and Bob got out and he says, what did you stop so suddenly for? He says, couldn't you have given me a signal? And the man up front says, what, in my own garage? Jack said to his banker, are you worried that I won't make those car payments at the end of the month? And the banker says, well, yes, frankly, I was kind of worried. And Jack says, good, that's what I pay you the interest for. It was the first day of classes, and the professor came in, and he said to the students, he says, if there are any dumbbells in this class, I want you to stand up immediately. And a long time went by, and finally, a lone freshman in the back row stood up, and the professor says, are you a dumbbell? And the freshman says, well, no, sir. He says, but I felt kind of sorry for you standing up there all by yourself. Annette says that every woman needs a husband. Why? There are just some things that you can't blame on the government. Pete and Mary took their son, their little 7-year-old son, out to a posh restaurant. And they asked the son what he wanted to order, and he said he wanted a peanut butter sandwich. And Pete says, no, no, he says, order something that you've never seen before. And the little boy says, well, I've never seen a peanut butter sandwich before that cost $6. Dick went to California to make his way in the world, and he wrote home to his folks. He says, I got a job. That's a feather in my cap. A little while later, he wrote home, and he says, I got a raise. He says, that's a feather in my cap. A little while later, he wrote home, and he says, I got a promotion. That's a feather in my cap. And it came time for the holidays, and he wanted to come home for the holidays, and he asked his father to send him the airfare, and his father says, take some of those feathers and fly home. Carol had some pictures taken, and her friend was looking at the pictures, and her friend says, these pictures don't do you justice. And Carol says, it isn't justice I need, it's mercy. And Billy came running home from school, and he says, Daddy, I got 100 in school today. And his father says, good, about time. And what? And Billy says, I got 40 in arithmetic and 60 in spelling. And Ed called up his girlfriend and said he wanted to go out. And she says, no, I'm not going to go out. And Ed says, that's terrible. He says, you're ruining my weekend. He says, what am I going to do with my weekend? And his girlfriend says, wear a hat on it. Alfred got a job working for Jack Lemmon, the movie star, helping Jack Lemmon with his fan mail. And Alfred loved the job, but he didn't like it when he got home, and his family called him a lemonade. Folks, what do you say? Don't you think this would be a good idea? You pick a day when you think you might die, and then you get all ready for that, you get everything all ready for it, and then the day comes, and you don't die, and it doesn't happen, well, then you can start life all over again. The teacher in school asked all the kids to draw a picture, and Johnny brought up his picture, and the teacher says, this is a blank piece of paper, what is it? And Johnny says, that's a cow eating grass. The teacher says, well, where's all the grass? And Johnny says, well, the cow ate it all. And then the teacher says, so where is the cow? And Johnny says, well, the cow left, there wasn't any grass left. Ted is having a hard time teaching his son ambition and getting somewhere in life. So Ted said to his son one day, do you know what Abraham Lincoln was doing when he was your age? And Ted says, well, no, Dad, but with all due respect, I know what he was doing when he was your age. Pete was out in his car, and the policeman stopped him, and the policeman says, "What does your speedometer say?" And Pete says, "I don't have a speedometer." And the policeman says, "What?" He says, "You don't have a speedometer? How fast do you know you're going?" And Pete says, "Well, I don't need a speedometer." He says, "When I get up to 30 miles an hour, it rattles." He says, "When I get up to 40 miles an hour, it shimmies. When I get up to 50 miles an hour, it stops." President Reagan is just like any man in the morning, isn't he? He gets up and he shaves, only President Reagan shaves the budget. Nicky ran into his grandpa and he says, "Grandpa, why does my sister wear her blue jeans so tight?" And Grandpa said, "So she can fit into her compact car." Sid says they have a product that they advertise in the daytime soap operas. He says, "I'd like to have every time I play poker." And his friend says, "What product is that, Sid?" And Sid says, 2,000 flushes. Little Andy chews Trident gum, and you know why? Because he only has 3 teeth. And Linda is so upset with her husband because he stands around and he watches the football games all the time on the TV. And so when their little boy came in and says, "Mom, what does NFL stand for?" Linda said, "National Foolishness Live." Harry is an avid golfer, and he was having a very, very bad day on the golf course. So he takes all of his golf clubs and he throws them into the pond. He takes all of his golf balls and he throws those into the pond. And he takes his golf bag and he throws that into the pond. He goes up to the clubhouse. He slits his wrists. He's standing there bleeding to death. And his friend John came in and says, "Hi, Harry. How about a game of golf tomorrow?" And Harry says, "What time?" This is Glendora, a cheerful look at life. Keep the courage flaming. A reporter was interviewing teachers. And he said to one teacher, "What are the 3 things that you like best about being a teacher?" And the teacher said, "Motivating young minds, preparing the next generation, and opening up the minds of youth." And then he said to the next teacher, "What are the 3 things you like best about being a teacher?" And she said, "June, July, and August." And Mrs. Morgan asked her 4th graders to write an essay on how hard times were in the colonial age. And so one of the essays she got back was, "Times were very hard in the colonial age. The kids had to play their video games by candlelight." And Pete says, "There's only one thing that kept me from going to college." And Charlie says, "Really, Pete? What was that?" And Pete said, "High school." Joan reports that she's a little shy about her age, and her mother-in-law says, "Yes, about 18 years shy." And Bob brags that his hometown has the lowest death rate of any town in the country. That's because nobody wants to be caught dead there. And they have a new fire truck in his hometown, so they're going to use the old fire truck for false alarms. And his town is so small that the Masons and the Knights of Columbus formed a coalition, and they call themselves the Masonites.
Baka.